New game.
New game. I'm really excited to do this game. I liked Sleeping Dogs. That was a good time. But there's just something about a David Cage game. It's our second one. Heavy Rain was a good time. Speaking of Heavy Rain, actually, should we do the out of context summary points?
Yeah.
In this episode, Merlin is back.
He's reincarnated.
He's been uploaded. We meet a new and improved Jaden. And what exactly does doing red ice feel like? Because it sounds a little... We will discuss. Thank you for coming back from our replay reviews. My name is Leah.
And my name is Kathy.
We are two friends who are here to replay, review, and analyze your favorite video games. And since Kathy has never seen the games before, it helps me view them through her fresh eyes, almost like I'm discovering them again for the first time.
We hope it'll be a similar experience for you.
Is there anything you want to say before we get into scene one?
Well, I partially forgot it was a David Cage game going into this, and then we watched like 2 minutes into it, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's definitely a David Cage game. There's something so distinct about his aesthetics in his game and the way the game characters look. I'm curious if this game was released before or after Heavy Rain.
After. Well, I think probably
After.
2018.
The quality does seem a lot better.
Yeah, 28. My birthday in 2018.
Nice.
Totally unnecessary detail.
Okay, yeah. Well, we kind of start out within 2 minutes. It's pretty much Ari personified. Like the artificial intelligence.
I thought you said already.
Oh, sorry.
I thought you said
Ari.
already, and I was like, the heck are you talking about? I was trying
so
so
confused.
hard. Yes. Yeah. I have more to say on that. So I guess let's start from the top.
Okay.
Right? We're in the year 2038. Androids have become commonplace. We see in this first scene one example of how they've been integrated. So it's August 15th, and there is a man-looking thing in an elevator. We do learn pretty quickly that this is an android, and he is a negotiator / cop. And we soon find out why he's been called in. It appears that this location, a family of 3 lives here. It's so weird because when he picks up the picture, the family portrait, these people are younger than us. It's so weird. I love a futuristic game, but like where the years can still correlate to where we are.
It's very tricky to the mind.
So as this android, who we will soon learn is named Connor, walks farther into the apartment, the mother bumps into him and says,
Please, you gotta save my little girl. Wait. You're sending an android?
All right, ma'am. We need to go.
You can't do that. Why aren't you sending a real person?
I think she's just overreacting because I could totally see her in a place that she may have not had any positive experience with an android, or we know that androids aren't very empathetic, so maybe she's worried that her daughter being a human is going to be in more danger because the negotiator is someone who doesn't do feelings.
at the very least, there seems to be some trust issues going on. But we'll soon learn that an android, the family's helper, has taken the daughter hostage at gunpoint, and it's our job, Connor's job, to save her.
So they're also calling the person who's holding the girl hostage as a deviant, and that's what Connor processes it as. But I'm even wondering, what is classified as a deviant versus what is classified as normal? Because they are all robots.
Yeah, they're not all deviants. We'll learn pretty
Okay.
quickly that that's basically a deviant is just an android that has gone off course. They've deviated from their program. And then it's pretty cool. This is what you were talking about. We get to see Connor's functionality at work in the apartment. It's some pretty fun and creative gameplay, I will say. And as you mentioned, it's quite similar to Ari. It's like the new and improved Ari, and Connor's kind of like the new Jaden. I think David Cage just loves a detective character.
I was just thinking he recycled his storylines into like a new version of it.
One of the biggest issues with Heavy Rain was like the camera rotation issue. When you turned around, then the controls got inverted. They somewhat fixed that in this game, which I'm very happy about. You can see it when Connor, instead of turning around when I switch the camera, he just walks in a circle, which I think is pretty cool. It's a lot more fluid.
There's obviously something fishy with Cyberlife because you learn from a magazine cover that they look way too happy and jelly, and then that's pretty suspicious. So we don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, what we learn walking around the apartment is that Daniel the Deviant and the little girl were pretty close, and that Daniel was going to be replaced. The family had purchased a new android. After learning this, we go out to the terrace where he's holding her hostage at the edge of the roof, which why is there not, like, a fence? Or a railing? Am I wrong? Did he step over a fence, or is it just... I have to look now.
I don't know, but you have a pool on the top of your roof, so it is slippery surface. And there's a kid. I feel like this is just a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Well, I hate heights to begin with. I just don't understand why we have to make it worse. Why do we do things like this? Okay, there's maybe like a 2 or 3 foot little fence thing, but that's not enough.
It's not enough.
You sneeze, you stub your toe, you trip, you're done. You're over the edge. I don't know about you, but I get so mad at the helicopter pilot.
Oh my gosh, yes.
He should be fired. How do you not expect the furniture to blow around like that when you get that close? He could have knocked them off the roof.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I was thinking, wow, what if the furniture or the umbrella just knocked them both off the roof?
What an anticlimactic ending to the scene that would have been. Can someone please edit that? I want to see that. So Connor is now actively negotiating with the deviant, Daniel, and he takes a risk to provide first aid to a downed officer. From the act, we see a stat pop up on the screen, public opinion, which is currently indifferent. Eventually, Connor does succeed in the negotiation, but he lied to Daniel in order to do so. And as a result, we see another stat pop up on the screen, software instability. Do you think Connor feels some regret for having lied to Daniel, getting him to trust him knowing that he's just going to be destroyed?
I don't think so. One, they're not supposed to have feelings, so he's just doing what's statistically the best option to get his conclusion, which is programmed by humans, so he doesn't have to process like guilt. So I don't think he feels bad about lying. Otherwise, lying would have never been an option for him.
Connor walks away, mission accomplished. I have to say, this is a fantastic opening scene. For sure, one of my all-time favorites. Out of the games I've played, it may be my favorite opening scene. How did you feel about this?
It's a pretty intense way to start the scene because it also sets the tone that you have an issue with robots that are starting to generate their own feelings. And it's a pretty applicable concern we have in today's society right now. What if AI started doing their own things? And there's also the ethics part. And that kind of speaks back to what Connor's doing. Is it unethical for him to be lying and gaining their trust only for him to somewhat like betray them? I don't know. I feel like this game is going to teach us a lesson about empathy.
Mm-hmm. It's going to have a lot of pieces that are frighteningly similar to today and the past few years. But I had to give it credit for this opening scene. Are we ready for scene 2?
Let's do it.
Scene 2, where Kathy almost fell asleep.
Oh my gosh, you caught that? It was so boring.
I don't blame you. I'll say Playing this section is very satisfying. Watching it is not.
It's a lot of hand yoga for you. Kind of like Heavy Rain. There's a lot of unnecessary stuff. I don't know if it's teaching you controls or it's just finger yoga or what is going on, but
Yeah.
I was so tired.
So we meet Kara, another android in another role. It is now November 5th, 3 months after we saw Connor. Kara's owner, Todd, picks her up from being repaired. Apparently she had been hit by a car. And then we pretty quickly go to credits, which is the city of Detroit seen from Kara's point of view on the ride home. And we see lots of less than favorable opinions on androids.
I feel like just that it's creepy that they're making these robots and they're pretty much slaves. And that we're just like recreating slaves, that we're not treating them well either.
Yeah, it's weird that it seems like if we knew what we wanted them to do, it's weird to make them people. Like a dog would be good, right?
Mm-hmm.
A little obedient dog that wants to help you. And it doesn't feel so dehumanizing.
Right? If you knew you wanted someone to clean the dishes, you would create a machines where it's just kind of like you throw them all in and then it organizes the things kind of like a dishwasher.
You mean a dishwasher?
Well, no, but like the thing is that you have to still organize it into your thing. This one would do all the organize, like you would just toss it into the sink. Or like things like which is funny, they do have a vacuum cleaner, so you have the purpose and you created something. You don't need to make a human go around and do that.
We just love playing God. We just do. But let's move on. After the credits, we meet a third android who is going about his duties, also on November 5th. His name is Marcus, and on his walk we see more tension and anti-android opinions. We see a sign saying human music, so it seems that there's even android music, which is taking over some of that human touch, and then more job loss issues.
And it's pretty darn accurate to today's issues. Like, there's conversation about using AI just pretty much stealing people's artwork just to reproduce art, or like same goes with music and audiobook narrators. And so it's kind of creepy that this was, what, you said 2018, so that's about 6 years ago.
Yeah, it's still pretty recent, but 6 years is a while back, and who knows how long it was in production before that. So it's interesting.
Also, I was really excited to see the model for Marcus is Jesse Williams' voice, and it does look like him. Which, also, was he not a blind KS option? I do not remember, but you have to double check. How did I not choose him? No, I think he was, and I made a comment saying that
I'm not gonna tell you, but I'm gonna look real quick. I was like, because I have to have put him on there. I feel like I would have.
I think I made a comment saying he looks like Jesse Williams.
I'm not gonna read the comments because I don't want to be spoilered.
Yeah, we'll have to come back, but stay tuned for our summary episode.
I'm already expecting so much now. The fact that you're already panicking.
I'm like truly panicking. I'm like breaking out a cold sweat.
We're 15 minutes into the game and you're panicking already.
I know, right? It's not a good look for me.
Oh, no. Okay. Where were we?
I just remember in the beginning, I think it's during when Kara is driving through the city, we also see a statue in the middle of like the downtown area where it's just a arm with the hands in a closed fist. And I'm wondering if that is symbolizing oppression or what.
Yeah, I saw it too. I mean, I didn't pay it much mind, but I was like, oh, is that something grasping technology? Is this an Android thing? So, I don't know. It wasn't on the screen very long. I don't know if it comes back.
It might be as significant as the random kids' faces during Heavy Rain.
The amount of time I spent comparing those faces to the murdered children is ridiculous. Anyway, moving on.
Okay.
Marcus runs into a protest led by this man, And he's very intense when he sees Marcus, and he confronts him saying,
I know who you are. I can see through you. You are the one by whom the evil will come. You are the one who will destroy Detroit.
very interesting to me that the evil is capitalized. Why'd they proper noun it? What does that mean?
I don't know.
I don't either. What did you make of this little exchange, though? It's kind of odd.
It felt pretty culty, I guess. You know how you get a feeling when you watch Outlast and it's not necessarily a cult, but it has that kind of feel to it?
Yeah, he's like a doomsayer? Is that a thing? Yeah, he's like a doomsayer, a person that predicts disaster. That's kind of what he feels like. I don't know like if he's representing a larger group or not, but it's very interesting. He sort of paints Marcus as like, I don't know, the fulfillment to some prophecy. It's a very odd exchange. And at the end of the game, I kind of want to go back to it and see if we can figure anything out about this guy. Marcus gets to the paint store and picks up the paint. On his way to the bus, he's berated and eventually assaulted in the plaza by this guy that looks kind of like a knockoff Jared Leto. A little too much.
The more I'm watching this, the more I'm able to tie these people back to like celebrities, and I'm like, yeah.
Anyway, a cop breaks up the scuffle and not Leto says, they're going to take your job next to the cop, which is what a great reference to Connor, the detective android that we just saw. So we're back to Kara, and this is the part specifically that almost did you in.
Yeah.
She carries out her duties. Laundry, dishes, trash, and general cleanup. And it's really satisfying to play this part because I love efficiency. And I'm like, what's the most efficient way to do all this stuff? So I think it's fun to play, but just from watching it, it's pretty boring. So I don't blame you.
So boring. I'm slightly embarrassed that you caught me falling asleep. But you can't blame me, though. Oh my gosh.
Also, Todd immediately comes across as an
Oh my gosh, yes. He is such a jerk. Maybe like he could try getting off the couch and doing some housework, and then he wouldn't be so angry and be productive and a good person in society.
Whoa, you took that so
I'm
deep.
just
okay.
Well, he's such a jerk to his own daughter too. The fact that she's like cowering, I just like someone needs to call CPS.
He is an angry man. We maybe learn a little bit of why. While Kara's doing laundry, she finds a packet of red crystallized things, red crystals, in the detergent bucket. She analyzes it to find that it's something called red ice. And then Todd shows up behind her, gets pissed, and then gets rough with her for finding it and says to stay out of his business. And then there's also a phone conversation we overhear that kind of makes him sound like a drug dealer.
First of all, if he didn't want her to find it, don't put it in the freaking detergent where she's gonna be going in and out of to use.
Also, when she's collecting trash, there's absolutely no way those pizza boxes are fitting in that trash can. And that kind of just irritates me. Why didn't they just make the trash can bigger? Please.
Well, what irritated me was the glass bottles and everything where she could have been recycling them.
They don't recycle in Detroit, Kathy. They probably have androids that sort through it at the trash facilities now. While taking the trash out, Kara notices a bunch of overdue bills and rejected credit card applications, so Todd is not doing hot, but he is doing red ice. He's going wild on it. It's disgusting. The noises he makes.
We're keeping that in.
What is going on? What is going on? What does red ice do to you? I
don't know, but the after effects is that it makes you aggressive and want to be your own child. So,
at the very least. Continuing on her duties, she's upstairs now. She tidies up Todd's bedroom, finds a gun. We also learn a few things on the news about unemployment, a new CyberLife plant. And then Todd comes out of the upstairs bathroom and she goes in there to clean it up right after he just blew up the toilet.
It's gross.
I don't know if you noticed the look on her face when she comes out of the bathroom.
She may not have feelings, but she knows disgusting when she sees it.
I wonder if they can smell.
Yikes.
Kara eventually gets into Alice's room to clean up in there a little bit, and Alice warms up to Kara and gives her a key to a jewelry box. In it, Kara finds some drawings, one which appears to depict what looks like Todd attacking and damaging Kara. So, she wasn't hit by a car, right?
Obviously not. We know this guy has rage issues.
Yep, speaking of, Kara goes back downstairs to see Todd being rough with Alice. Okay, moving on, we are back to Marcus. It's still the same day. He returns home, and we learn that he is the caretaker for an old man named Carl. And this is when we see in the foyer, the room, the big entryway room. Mm-hmm. There's birds in a cage. It's Merlins. It's little android Merlins. And guess what,
And Merlin
Kathy?
has a friend.
But I was gonna say they're actually yellow this time.
Yeah, I know. That's you. They're yellow.
If you don't know what we're talking about, go watch or listen to Heavy Rain from last season. We're stupid is basically what it comes down
We're
to.
struggling.
Carl seems so cool. Also, his house is cool. It's like a 1-bedroom mansion.
He has a freaking giraffe in there.
What are your impressions of Carl? I really like Carl.
Carl is a demonstration of good humans that exist in their world, because up until now, we've only met humans who yell at androids, who treat them terribly, who are bad fathers, who are pushing and shoving. It's a really nice change to meet someone nice.
Marcus brings him downstairs to serve him breakfast, and I know you had to notice the Origami Killer's calling card as home decor on his shelves.
No, what?
You didn't notice? Kathy.
I'm like too busy looking at other things, apparently.
Oh my goodness. Let me... 4823. There'll be multiple times where you can see it. I walk right up to them, too. I can't believe you didn't see them.
There's origami all over his bookshelf. What? How did I not notice that before?
I don't know.
I was wondering what you were doing over there, too. That's the thing. I remember it was like, oh, why are you walking to the bookshelf, not recognizing anything?
There's also more of them behind the giraffe that you noticed.
Oh my god.
Oh gosh. It makes me even more convinced that the birds are an Easter egg, and that we were really onto something with Merlin. I really think we were onto something. Mm-hmm. Also, a much more pleasant piano scene in this game compared to Heavy Rain, and just another reference overall. It won't be the last. Anything before Carl comes over to talk to him?
My thought is that you would think that if they can create freaking androids that are pretty much like humans, they could find a way to extend the life of humans.
Yeah, that is a good point, because he doesn't seem overly old.
Yeah.
So one thing that he says to Marcus is,
one day I won't be here to take care of you anymore. You'll have to protect yourself and make your choices. Decide who you are and want to become.
Interesting.
Yeah, it also brings up the question is what happens to androids when their owners are no longer there or don't want them? Like, do they get returned back to cyberlife to be recycled and reused again? Or is it part of, like, the inheritance?
Carl continues to try to, I don't know, push Marcus towards humanity in a way. While painting, he convinces him to paint something that isn't just a perfect copy of what he's seeing.
Being able to paint probably correlates to one's feelings. So to have an android be able to paint what they're feeling is like the first step of recognizing that they do have emotions.
They are soon interrupted, though, by Carl's deadbeat son, Leo. He arrives asking for money and is clearly burning through it way too fast. Probably doing red ice. That's kind of what is referenced. Do you agree?
Yeah, he's pretty much a loser.
Yes. He's a pre-Todd. He's gonna be Todd someday.
And he has clear daddy issues.
Because of this apparent addiction, Carl refuses to give him money, and Leo gets very angry and even pushes Marcus and says, "You never loved me," to Carl.
Well, if Leo really stepped up his game and proved himself to be a better person, maybe his dad would love him some more. That's so terrible of me to say that. But Leo clearly has issues with feeling like he's competing with Marcus as being who's the better son, and he's obviously losing this battle.
Are you ready to go back to Connor?
Mm-hmm.
It is still the same day. Connor is tracking down his new partner, Lieutenant Hank Anderson. He finds him at Jimmy's bar. Anderson seems cranky, and it maybe amuses Connor. What do you think of Connor so far?
I think he's just straightforward, and he just does what he needs to do to get his results.
I don't know. He seems like an extremely smart newborn baby. Like, he's smart, but he doesn't really know what he's doing when it comes to, like, interactions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He's got an innocence about him.
Yeah. Has a very high IQ, but very naive. And
Yeah.
not necessarily low EQ, but just not really great about reading body language and reading the room.
But he's eventually able to convince Hank, Lieutenant Anderson, to go to the crime scene. When we get there, we learn that the landlord had stopped by after the tenant hadn't paid rent in a few months, and he found the body of the tenant, Carlos Ortiz. Alright, so, as Connor, investigating the scene, we learn red ice is present. We find a bloody knife, which Connor licks to analyze the blood, and Hank does not like this at all.
Which, this isn't the first time he's done that.
No. We find blood trails, signs of a struggle in the kitchen, the words "I am alive" written in blood using CyberLife Sans font. And then through reconstructions, Connor learns exactly what happened, including that the android was attacked, likely causing emotional shock. Connor also finds RA9 written over and over again in the shower, as well as a little statue thing. After reconstructing the entire crime scene, Connor knows the deviant must be nearby, and he does eventually locate him in the attic.
The RE9 sounds like Ari, which to me made my mind connect to Heavy Rain. So that was just...
Ari is the parent program.
Oh.
It morphed into RA9.
That's crazy.
There's a connection to Heavy Rain here, Kathy. There has to be. We're on to it.
Yeah, we're on to it.
More than just Easter eggs. So this deviant begs Connor out to turn him in, but after only a microscopic moment of hesitation, Connor calls out for Hank, and the deviant has been captured.
I think Connor hesitating whether or not to call Hank just indicates his maybe potential to somehow start thinking for himself and not thinking because of the way he's programmed. And the first time we see him, no hesitation. But this time we see this slight little, oh. And he maybe is starting to develop some empathy on why Carlos got stabbed 28 times. And he's understanding where the deviant is coming from.
Oh, there's a meme that you don't even know that you're referencing.
Oh.
It sounded like you were referencing it, but you weren't.
No.
So. Real quickly, I should have mentioned this at the beginning, but at this point we don't have a choice as Connor, right? Like, he chooses for us to turn him into Hank, but this is a decision-based game. So that's the issue with replaying decision-based games is how to do it, right? And so for this game, I decided to make the choices that I felt made for the more cinematic experience in terms of the story unfolding. So just little, what's the word?
Author's note kind of thing?
PSA. What's the word? Damn it, this is really gonna piss me off.
Oh, Leah, you're gonna poop your pants if you can't think of the word.
I am. That's what always happens when I can't find it. I need to find this word or I'm gonna have diarrhea. We'll go with disclosure. So yeah, just a little disclosure on how I came about making decisions in this game, as I have played through it multiple times. Anyway, should we move on to scene 6?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We are back to Kara, who ends up in a dire situation. Still the same day, but now 9:14 p.m. Kara serves Todd and Alice dinner, during which Todd becomes erratic and eventually boils over and begins to hit Alice. Kara eventually breaks through the demand, or her code, whatever she breaks through, resulting in 2 options: reason with Todd or protect Alice. There's no way Todd can possibly be reasoned with, right? I mean, that's... There's no way. So I chose to go up to protect Alice, and Kara has now become a deviant.
I'm glad she broke through, and it's starting to make sense why this game is called Become Human. I'm really glad Kara is going after Alice, because truly, she's the one who needs protection. And I'm glad she was able to figure out how to break the code. And seems like it's triggered through strong emotion.
Mm-hmm.
During Todd's rant, he was mad that Alice's mom took off. How could the mom just leave without taking Alice with her? Like, when you know the husband, Todd, is as abusive as he is, and you decide to leave your child, the least you could do is call CPS. I'm so pissed at that. Her parents, like, she deserves better parents, and she deserves a more humanized version of Kara, because obviously there's only one person who's going to protect her in this situation, and it's Android.
A fight does break out, but Kara remembered the gun and ends up shooting and killing Todd, and she and Alice make a run for it. Do we need to do a so long for Todd?
No, definitely.
Kill him.
You knew my feelings from day one.
Moment 1.
Yeah, moment 1.
At 9:42 p.m., Marcus and Carl return home after a cocktail party to find that the light in his studio is on. Marcus calls the police, and then the 2 of them investigate to find an unhinged Leo looking to steal some art. Anything you want to add so far?
Leo's a dick.
That's it?
Well, I have more notes that I want to talk about. Let me put a few more comments in first, and then we'll get there.
So, during the confrontation, Leo pushes Carl and abuses Marcus. Carl orders Marcus not to defend himself, but the abuse pushes him too far, and he breaks through, just as Kara did, to become deviant.
So, okay, Carl, why would you tell him to not defend himself? Knowing that...
I think he still cares about his son.
Well, is he truly acting like your son? Because apparently you haven't fathered him much, and he hasn't respected you either much. And I'm just so irritated when Carl's just going like, Leo, leave him alone. And then not doing any type of action. I get that he's not in a position to be doing anything, but just yelling that, it's like telling a woman to calm down. You're not going to get any, impact. And so... his lack of parenting for Leo is probably why Leo is such a dick and a spoiled brat.
I think that's the question. Was he a sucky dad, or did the drugs just get him? Is it all the drugs, or was there more to it?
And the thing is, it's a bit of a hypocrite, because in the beginning, he's talking about Marcus, that you should be more human, be on your own, find your own path. And then the next thing you do is oh, Marcus, just... let him punch you in the face and let him destroy your body.
I see your point.
Yeah.
I think Carl's just helpless. I don't think he wants either one of them hurt. I think he's just in a situation that he can't really control, and he's trying to do what he can. But despite having free will, Marcus, chooses to endure the abuse for Carl's sake. I think Marcus cares about Carl. He doesn't want to make him mad.
Mm-hmm.
Carl collapses, and Marcus runs over to him. And Carl says, "Remember, Marcus, don't let anybody tell you who you are." And Marcus yells, "Dad," while crying.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Leo's just standing in the background watching.
And Leo's like, you did this.
It's so awkward.
Oh my gosh. Leo is pissing me
Right?
off.
He's an idiot. And then the police show up and Leo says, oh, it was the android. And then they shoot him.
Which is, I'm so irritated that the police are like, shoot first, then ask questions. That kind of attitude and just siding with Leo when there's truly no need to shoot Marcus. It's not like E03 assisting or anything.
Yeah. The only thing is if, like, how well known is deviancy at this point. Because if everyone's freaked out about androids and then they think, oh, they walk into this, you could understand it doesn't make it okay. But I think it might give a reason as to why they shot first.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Okay. Final scene. It's now November 6th. Connor and Gavin watch Hank face a brick wall in the interrogation with the deviant that Connor captured. Gavin suggests roughing it up, but Connor says androids can't feel pain, and he thinks that he should just try to interrogate it. So he goes in. He stares at the two-way mirror, and I love Hank's reaction. Throughout this interrogation, we learn a detail. He says, I was programmed to hunt deviants like you.
I'm concerned who's the one who did the programming, if it was CyberLife or the police that asked him. Because if CyberLife is the one who programmed Connor to do that, is it because CyberLife knows there's a lot of flaw in their software, so they need to have this type of backup plan? Or is it the police who's just trying to maintain order in their city?
Connor was sent to the police to assist in the investigation by CyberLife, so...
Well, CyberLife obviously knows there's some issues with their product, so that's the question. Why is CyberLife still in mass production of their androids if there's a growing population of those that have issues?
And then, about the shower statue, the deviant responds, it's an offering so that I'll be saved. An offering to RA9. He says only RA9 can save us. Connor asks him more about RA9, and he responds, the day shall come when we will no longer be slaves. We will be the masters. Connor continues to try, but is unable to find out who RA9 is. What are your thoughts about RA9 at this point?
It's pretty creepy how these deviants, and I don't even know if he was a deviant at that point of time, but just in general how androids are thinking that there's a higher power up there that can save them from humans. And I could see why they would want to revolt against all the pain that they're being put through right now.
This is interesting. Okay, I just had an interesting thought, because so far it seems like we've seen all the emotional shock that has caused deviancy. It's been like fear of being replaced, being attacked in Marcus's case, and in this android's case. And then with Kara, it's emotional shock of like something happening to someone else that she cares about. But we haven't seen any emotional shock of like a good thing. So yeah, I'm curious if what we'll pick up on that, and then if a good emotion can trigger enough emotional shock to result in deviancy. So Connor successfully gets the confession, and in my first playthrough, I forgot to do it the second time. Because I missed the meme that you just accidentally referenced a minute ago. So I have it pulled up to show you, because we cannot go through this game without talking about 28 stab wounds. So you'll recognize this moment from my playthrough.
28 stab wounds.
Oh my god.
The way he jumps.
I jumped too. What are you talking about? I jumped too. I had the volume way up in my headphones.
It's too good.
Yeah. He didn't seem like the aggressive type though, so I'm kind of surprised one of the options is you can make him that aggressive.
That's what I love about this game, especially with Connor. You can really go different directions with him. But I just love... Everybody loves the 28 stab wounds. After concluding the interrogation, the others enter, and Gavin pushes the deviant dangerously close to self-destruction, which Connor had mentioned before. Deviants have a tendency to self-destruct if become overly emotional. Connor has to get assertive to make them unhand the deviant, leading to a frosty impression with Gavin, and causing some guns to be drawn. We're in a real standoff situation here.
Well, first of all, Gavin is like Blake, so again, recycling of characters. Different looks, though.
Yeah. What
But
what does he say?
What?
What does Blake say when he throws the chair? Fucking asshole!
I totally forgot about that. Oh gosh. Yeah, I don't think Gavin was that aggressive as Blake is. Anyways, I think Connor is starting to find and get closer to the edge where too much emotion pushes him over the edge, because we haven't seen Connor that aggressive up until this point, besides the 28 stab wounds. So we're watching him starting to be more empathetic with more androids. He is unlike other androids where he's programmed specifically to hunt deviants. So what's going to happen?
Let me have you consider this, though. Is he showing empathy for the deviant, or is he afraid of the deviant being destroyed, which will make his job harder? He says, "You don't understand, if it self-destructs, we won't get anything out of it." So is his main concern getting information out of it, or empathy?
If he says it like that, then I would think it has more to do with getting information and evidence out of it. But if he didn't say that line, then I would think that it's truly out of concern for another deviant or another android.
Yeah. I mean, they're both valid, though, because at the very end of the scene, the deviant walks out and says, "The truth is inside," and we see Connor with another spike of software instability. So something is affecting Connor. But by the way, back to Gavin. He doesn't throw a chair like Blake does, but why does he say like that? It sounds like a duck sneezing or something. He's like, fuck.
Let me go and look.
What is that?
It sounds like a sneeze.
It sounds like, yeah, a duck? A sneeze? I don't know. But it's not I can tell you that.
Yeah, even with the Boston accent, I don't think you would get it like that.
At least we don't have heavy rain accents this time.
Yeah, that was so bad. In this scene, though, I'm pretty annoyed, and I'm actually really annoyed for watching only part 1 of a game. But this part, like the inability for the humans in this game, for them to be so ignorant and not listen, and the way their ego is just in their way of their comprehension skills, it is driving me crazy.
Well, let's keep track. What's this, 14 years away? Are we gonna do any thinking for ourselves in 14 years? We'll have to figure that out. Because I have a feeling if you don't want to, you don't have to be a critical thinker at all by the year 2038. There's gonna be so much stuff, so I don't know if that's part of it. But they're all stupid.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's very irritating. Any closing thoughts from you for part 1? What'd you think so far?
I'm liking it so far, but I'm curious to see what's going to happen. I'm really nervous for Kara and Alice, because I really do want them to be able to escape without punishment.
This is one that I'm very excited to talk about, because I think that there is a lot to talk about. So, I'm looking forward to it. I will be tracking secret stats, and you're going to have to guess again.
No, I'm shaking my head.
One of them I know I'm doing, the other one I haven't decided, but the one I'm leaning towards you're going to absolutely hate me for.
Oh gosh. The fact that I can't even pay attention to the origamis is making me quite concerned about what kind of stats you're going to choose.
Anyway, get ready to guess. Is there anything else that you want to say for the start of this new game, or should we close it out?
I think I said all I said, and let's save it for next part. So with that, I'm going to close it out. Audacity on 1, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to send in any questions, comments, or game suggestions. You can find all our contact info on our website, replayreviewspod.com, or contact us directly through our site.
Did we completely miss something? Are we way off the mark? Or you just want us to take a deeper look at anything from the game? We'll tackle any topics you all want to hear in our season wrap-up episode.
We also have a Reddit where we discuss anything we're curious about. Go take a look and let us know what you're thinking. Our theme music is Condemned by Eggy Toast. They'll play you out, and we'll be back next week.